Welcome back, viewers, and we are here for round 9. And do you know what that means? Alex, tell them what that means.
We've got our final feature match of the day, of day 1. Another winning in of two fantastic players, two fantastic decks. You know, there's a lot of history for both players in terms of how they've performed in previous tournaments. Super excited to get them onto our stream and feature match again. You know, they're both not shy and not, you know, strangers to the stream placements. So really excited to just be able to do this here with you, Shay.
Oh, and I'm very excited to do it with you, Alex. Yeah, like I said, winning in scenario. So both players want to win this game to get their spot in the day 2. And unfortunately, the loser, well, will be packing their suitcases. But like Alex alluded to, we have some of the best players here in Europe. Alberto Conti versus Hedy Brammy.
Yeah, both players, you know, have superb finishes over the years. Hedy's a player I've known for quite some time. You know, he's taken a small break, but then this year has come straight back into it. As we see both our players just set up there. Alberto on our left, Hedy on our right. Hedy off with a great finish in the OCIC in Melbourne with a top 64 there with a Lugia list. And of course, Alberto's been sort of wrecking the tournament scene in Pokemon for the past sort of year and a half.
Yeah, Alberto, you know, coming over to Pokemon from playing other card games last season, actually managed to get his complete invite upon the season restart. And quite honestly, I've been friends with him for a while. An absolutely fantastic player. His brain is like 10 times bigger than mine when it comes to this game. Honestly, coming up with so many crazy card combinations and always utilizing them to maximum finishes. And I tell you what, I'll be very scared playing against Alberto. Luckily, I haven't had to do that yet. But this is going to be a crazy game. Two fantastic high-tier players, both fighting for their spot in day 2.
Yeah, and we just saw that Hedy will be playing his Lugia V-Star list once again up against Alberto's Lost Box deck. You know, the two of the, I guess, more, you know, well-represented decks at the moment in the current format, or, you know, towards the end of this format now. But two very powerful decks that have gone toe-to-toe with one another for such a long time now.
Yeah, and I can tell you a little story, viewers, about how Alberto came onto this deck, because I'm actually in many a group chat with Mr. Conti. He saw there was a Japanese sort of turbo Lost Box list that aims to try and get to that turn 1 Mirage Gate as soon as possible. So you'd be utilizing stuff like Lost Vacuums, Forest Seal Stones. You can try and get to use your, you know, your Raikou or even your Dragonite V as early as possible and take some cheesy KOs, and then try and finish the game out with a mid to late game Kyogre. So you're actually using both V Pokemon and Kyogre just to try and close the game out. And it actually gets a little bit terrifying. Although speaking of Dragonite V, that's actually chilling in the price, as well as 2 Archeops there for Hedy.
2 more. Let's have a little look. Okay, so and just 2. And the Stoutland, which is obviously another utility card for Hedy as an attacker to jump over the prize race, as both our players are just finalizing their setups here. And we're going to kick things off, both players with the Spud there. Hedy looks like he's kicking things off with that Luminion in the active spot. This is game 1 of round 9 for our day 1 of Pokemon special event in Utrecht. And here we are, Hedy Brammy getting a chance to look through his deck.
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing. If you're winning in, not only do you get to go first, but you get to get a nice, easy deck search here for Hedy. You love to see that, as you're just going to try and work out, you know, what's been prized, what resources have I got to work with in this late tournament scenario. Probably looking to get some Archeops for a discard pile as soon as possible. Let's have a little look at Hedy's list, see if there's anything we need to keep our eyes on. Obviously, 1 copy of Collapse Stadium. That is an interesting card, you know, making both players have a bench of 4 instead of 5. And everything else looks fairly down the middle, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. You know, you've got a couple of those, or you've got the Lost Vacuum. You do have, like you mentioned, that Collapse Stadium. So he does have Stadium Bounce as well. Does have a couple of those Choice Belts. Does play a couple of the utility kind of extra supporters, like Serena being able to both discard certain cards for draw and also utility use as a gusting option. Pretty standard and typical of what you would typically see now of Lugia V-Star lists. Whereas in comparison, what you've already mentioned with Alberto's list, you know, he's already kind of almost splashed a couple of different attackers in combination. You know, that Kyogre that you mentioned alongside that Dragonite, and then the Raikou V. It's not something we've seen today, I don't believe, in Lost Box variants. So yeah, super exciting. Hedy has looked like he's got both Archeops that were available to him in the discard already. which is fantastic, despite already having 2 in the prizes.
And you'd love to, I think you'd make the argument that if you've got 2 in the discard pile, you really do not care having the other 2 in the prizes. Like, stay there.
Yeah.
We have no use for you whatsoever. So you just 2 in the prize cards. I'll let these Archeops who actually turned up to fight today, they can actually get involved. So you have to imagine Hedy's doing, must be loving life right now. Plays the Luminion for Professor's Research. But we're going to hold that for next turn. And wow, man, all the evolution incenses. Oh my goodness.
He's got such a strong hand. It looks like there's so much available to him. Does get that Lugia V down as well onto the bench. So he's had a really super strong turn. Going first, of course, unable to play a supporter, but has it ready for turn 2. And, you know, with those Luminions, it doesn't mind necessarily having them out on the field a little bit earlier. I guess he hasn't seen what Alberto's got in terms of that Raikou and being able to hit for weakness very quickly. But just having those 2 down now, he's able to use Luminion's attack and shuffle them back into the deck for later turns anyway. So, you know, I believe it's gone over to Alberto now, and he opens up with a massive Battle VIP pass turn 1, which is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, you know, Hedy had a fantastic turn, you know, in a winning scenario. Alberto starting off with the VIP Battle Pass, and I know that for this deck is just built to try and get to that Mirage Gate as soon as possible. I'm sure Alberto would love to see if he can try and get the Raikou powered up, Raikou V, try and take a quick 2 prize KO and sort of trying to alleviate the downsides of Lost Box. You know, for the most part, Lost Box doesn't really get going. It's like a turn 3, turn 4 scenario where you can start to use your Mirage Gates or, you know, start using Sableye. And this deck is trying to really push the tempo on as early as possible. And if it pops off, you're doing quite well.
Yeah, and I guess with Alberto's list, you know, he's playing many 4-ofs in terms of the kind of burst potential to switch and pivot around those Comfies and different other cards to help maybe utilize the strategy of getting all those Lost Zone cards as soon as possible. You know, it's the 4-off Escape Row, it's 4-off Switch cards, the 4-off Scoop Up Nets. You know, he's going to be looking to utilize that as quickly as possible and then just start taking, you know, very easy, quick prizes when possible, right? Right now, he's staring down at 3 Pokemon that are all weak to Lightning.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, you know, Raikou V is a card we didn't see get pretty much any play whatsoever until Lugia came around. And it's like all of a sudden, wait a minute, there's Lightning Rondo and it hits for weakness. Actually rather strong. Like we did see, you know, Suicune get played, and we didn't really see Enter, unfortunately, but
yep.
But Raikou is knocking about. Really good when hitting for weakness. Also has that fleet-footed ability, letting you draw a card with Senior active as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do see the Chorus Experiment hit the field there. It looks like he's going to be chorusing Experiment into another Chorus Experiment. So some good choices there. A couple of the switch options as well to kind of pivot around those Comfies. So he will be hitting likely 4 on this current first turn, and then maybe looking to try and utilize something like a Chromorant to apply some pressure as soon as possible. Of course, from the Battle VIP pass, has chosen that Radiant Greninja as well, that important card we've seen so many times this weekend already, as he does flower selecting for the first time in our round 9 feature match.
Yeah, and must be going off to the races. Here we see the conceal cards. This is the crazy thing about Lost Box. Look how big that hand is already. Like, Bo's just, you know, played the support, then a flyer select and conceal cards, and hand like getting close to 10 cards. Just so many options. You know, Alberto used to find, you know, any combination of scoop up net, switch cards, escape ropes even, just to try and get that Lost Zone counter as high as possible, as quick as possible.
There's a scoop up net, and the second flower selecting again. I think there's another couple of options available to him there. Has to kind of assess, you know, again, that resource management from his whole hand being massive already, and the cards that are there. Yeah, see another switch card.
2 switch
suddenly
cards.
hits the Lost Zone section as well, and now it's, you know, he's already at the 4 on his first turn, and there's an escape rope. Yeah, easy choice for Hedy.
Yeah, easy choice there, Fed. Alberto wasn't really happy with what he's been drawing now. I'm intrigued to see what's in the hand, getting rid of a quick ball. Okay, so we see all the flower selection abilities used at this moment in time. What else is in Alberto's hand? 5 in the Lost Zone, already turn 1. Has he got any other options here? What is it? Show me.
Ooh, hello.
There's
the boy.
Are we going to see 2 more? Like Lost Vacuum plus a tool card would get us there. Then we're at Mirage Gate territory. Then we're at the turn 1. The turn 1 KO with the Lightning Rondo. Let's have a look. What was that? Another escape rope? Are we going to see a fleet-footed to try and... I think we are.
More draw cards potential. Hedy's now thinking, well, he's never going to put the Lugia up.
No, I was going to say, it
he
can't
has
be
to
Lugia.
put up the Luminion in this scenario, unfortunately. But yeah, fleet-footing, an opportunity to draw an additional card if it's in the active spot. does it give Alberto what he needs? I mean, that hand is massive. He must have something good there.
How can that hand be so good but have no playables? What is this card? And it is
Oh,
a forest
hello.
seal stone that this could find. Lost vacuum, vacuum it away. And if there's going to be the Mirage Gate in hand, so I can't even talk, I'm that excited. And then we get the turn 1 Lightning Rondo.
Oh, it looks like a Battle VIP
I guess
bus.
that also works as well. Okay. This is why Alberto is in winning in scenario, and I'm here struggling to talk.
Right, well, you know, my eyes would have lit up to try and take 2 prizes nice and early where possible as well. Looks like he's eyeing up that Sableye and Manaphy, I think, from his choice of Battle VIP pass there. Also just kind of preparing himself for future turns. You know, he hasn't necessarily seen what's in Heady's list right now. He's got to be just sort of conscious that Heady may be playing an Amazing Rare Raikou himself or other different aspects, which he has to protect himself against.
And there was the Lost Vacuum in hand, so do we see a Mirage Gate?
Yeah, I think.
Because that is going to be 7 in the Lost Zone right now. Heady, oh my goodness, what's happened there? There's 7 cards in the Lost Zone.
Heady's got a little smirk on his face. Yeah, there's a smirk by Heady. He's just seen a turn 1, a turn 1 Mirage Gate, and this Luminium V that he thought was going to be able to be protected just by getting hit by a Cramorant. And it's just 2 prizes there and then. Massive turn for Alberto.
You guys can't see it right now, but I have the biggest smile on my face. I was just really hoping Alberto could pop off there. And that's what this deck is built to do. It's going to try and take 2 prizes turn 2 and really sort of start. How often do you see Lost Box taking the prize initiative turn 1? Doesn't happen too often. Now, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. Heady will have an easy response KO on this worker. That is not going to be surviving much longer, but wow, what a turn.
It is an amazing turn to see a Lost Zone of 7 in just 1 turn, right? Of course, he did go second, did have access to those Chorus Experiment, but here's Heady right now instantly replying with this Lugia V-Star coming down, with Summoning Star, with Archeops, double Archeops onto the bench. So now, let's see how he's going to navigate this. This would even up the prize race already. Heady's going to have to find that Dunsparce, surely, just in case that Raikou comes back out of nowhere once again.
Yeah, no, you have to be careful.
There it is, just as I mentioned it, the boy is out.
Yeah, just in case. Where were you last turn? Would have been. Oh, in terms of colourless weakness, doesn't it? Ignore me. Yeah, Luminion still would have been getting sent to the discard pile. But yeah, Heady, you know, in a fine position. There might be 2 prizes down, but it's going to get evened up instantly. And then looking at Alberto, hasn't got access to the Dragonite. Still in the prize. I'm trying to see what the response would be.
I mean, it'd be maybe looking to try and utilize some of his other attackers here to start maybe spreading some of that damage, making sure that he's able to, you know, set other Pokemon up for later knockouts. As you see Heady there using both Primal Turbos, it looks like, and now the V-Guard energy is also on that Lugia V-Star in the active spot, and does Marnie as well. Another massive turn. It could continue to swing. And that's exactly what we want to see.
No, this is a strong turn, actually. Because I said, we know Lost Box like to grow their hand to build their options so they can do these crazy turns. And if you can just say, right, I'm going to take 2 prizes, I'm going to set you to a card handle 4, you know, let's dance, baby. And let's see how we draw. So let's have a look at what's going on here. Strong turn here for Heady, though. Like you said, got the V-Guard. It isn't to know that Alberto only plays 1 Raikou, so...
Yeah, but of course, with Lost Box, typically, you know, there's ways to recover Pokemon, recover energies. So he's going to be thinking that Raikou could come back very quickly. So, yeah, Heady with the very quick Tempest Dive there, knocking out that Raikou, evening up the prize race, and now it's back over to Alberto to try and take the initiative.
Right, so we see 2 Chorus Experiment, we see Energy Recycler. I'm intrigued to see if Alberto, I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly how he spoke about this deck in the group chat, but if I remember correctly, we might be starting to see him work towards a mid-game Kyogre, because I remember thinking, Kyogre in the mid-game? In case you don't know what Kyogre does, for 3 energy, you can discard top 5 cards of your deck. For each energy you get there, you can do a 50 snipe to 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So we might be seeing work towards that. I mean, that could devastate the board, right? Or we could even just see some Sableye action. We've 9 Lost Zone already, right? Not too far off Sableye.
Yeah, just the 1 more remaining, and he's just used Chorus Experiment, so that's pushed him up to the 9. Still has Flower Selecting available to him right now as well. And even if he just starts to try and maybe sprinkle some damage with Lost Mine, with that Sableye, you know, you can take an easy knockout on that Dunsparce as well. Reactivating that weakness. on the Lugias, on the, I guess, the Archeops as well, and just make it a little bit of an easier reach. Yeah. I do like the idea of maybe going for the Kyogre as well. Of course, there's no mana fee down right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So that opportunity is there. And as you can see now, we're up to the 10 count, activating Lost Mine. And Alberto's just continuing to get through the cards. Does hit the Kyogre.
Is he?
But will he actually go for it? I don't know yet.
Alberto? What are we doing here, Albert?
There are some question marks. But so many, look how many cards he's seen through.
What is going on?
He's just been moneyed.
Yeah.
He saw 4, he's drawn 1, he's got 5 in total, and now he's back up to about 12.
I know. Ridiculous stuff, right? That's the strength of the Flower selecting Chorus engine. Like I say, what's some money? I'm at like a 10 card hand. How much card do you want?
Yeah.
So we've got Lost Mine available. We have all the Mirage Gates available. We do see double Rod for Alberto. One is in the Lost Zone currently, so we could see some ordinary Rod action as well.
Yeah,
He's
just a
saying, can we tie that?
quick tidy up for that.
You're doing too well, Alberto. Bring your Lost Zone up and tidy up for us.
I mean, it's fine to spread it out a little bit, but I think just sometimes when it goes across the board, it can get a little bit messy. But this kind of helps both players keep track of some of the resources. So I think Alberto is just for his sake putting it out, but as well as Hedy as well.
Even Hedy's like, what's going on?
Yeah, let me know what is in there. What do you not have left?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's all about that game management, not just of your own board. You have to keep and be aware of what your opponent's doing as well. And here we do see the Sableye come into the active spot, ready to Lost Mine.
Yes, you have to imagine we're probably going to see the Dunsparce get KO'd, right? So 6 on Dunsparce. Maybe some sprinkling on the Archeops. Oh, setting up the Greninja, actually, as well. Right, so here we go. Let's see, where does Lost Mine go? So we've got 12 damage counters to play with. So 6 on Dunsparce. That leaves 6 more for Alberto to play. So it looks like it's going to be 3 on the active and 3 on the Archeops, yes. And 1 more prize card for Alberto.
I guess it's that view of maybe trying to negate that V-Guard energy a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
That's possibly one way to think about it from Alberto's point of view. But, the core and key aspects of that turn was really to kind of take out that Dunsparce's ability to be able to reactivate those weaknesses on that Lugia V-Star, because it's in a dangerous spot. And here we go.
Oh, speaking of dangerous.
He's picked up that Stoutland V from the prizes, because it was at the bottom alongside a powerful energy, I believe it was. So now, with just 2 powerful energies attached, could take down the Sableye for 2 prizes and then pushing himself ahead in the prize race.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that Stoutland, double dip fangs, 40 damage. Obviously, powerful energies gives you an extra 20 for each one attached. But you take an extra prize card if you was to KO a basic Pokemon with it. So letting Hedy sort of, get a little bit ahead on the prize trade, as it were. We have to imagine, normally in the Lost Box matchup, you do have to be prepared for a Stoutland. You have to try and see some counterplay. But Alberto does have to respond to this Stoutland. There's no way this Stoutland can remain about, because it can win in 2 turns, provided it takes 2 KOs. So that's going to be the next hurdle, I think, for Alberto to try and jump over.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing this matchup really swing in both directions now, which makes it super exciting to watch from a casting point of view, and hopefully you guys at home as well. As we see here, Hedy will be, or is looking likely to be going down that Stoutland V routes, because then, it doesn't have anything like the Raikou that can hit for weakness. There's no fighting option there. It looks like the boss onto the Comfey.
Going for a Tempest dive.
Yeah, potentially just kind of...
Or have you seen a Primal Turbo?
It looks like Primal Turbo here first. So a couple of different options. There's another powerful energy suddenly being prepped for that Stoutland V, just to hit more damage, maybe make it more of a target, and try and bait Alberto to make sure he knocks it out or targets it down. But it looks like just an Aurora energy going down to the Luminion as well. Maybe just finding a way to take it off the board would be a pretty cool way to try and protect some of his Pokemon. And there's a hand attachment there as well.
So I don't mind the Aqua Return here, because then...
But yeah, he's just going for the double dip fangs.
Going for the double dip fangs. Okay, don't mind that as well. It's a strong play going down to 2 prize cards. Like I said, no, this Alberto's going to be an interesting decision here. Do you try and respond on this Stoutland, or do you go for the Kyogre and try and win the game next turn, right? Because that's also an option.
Oh, I mean, it's possible.
It's an option.
Yeah, it comes down to some of the key cards that Alberto will have access to. He looks like he's probably...
I think he
needs to start thinning his deck to be able to then use something like Energy Recycler to chuck all the energies back in. That then allows Kyogre's attack to be at the highest percentage of maximum output.
Yeah. And I think that's what Alberto's going to try and do here. Try and take as many cards that aren't energy out of the deck. So then you can just, you know, like you said, try and use energy recyclers and or ordinary Voss, put as many energy back into the deck. So you can try and get the Aqua Storm and finish the game off here by KOing, you know, Luminion plus Archeops.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of pieces there at the moment. So he's just taking out another Comfy currently. So let's just see what direction Alberto wants to take this in. Because right now, it's either go for the Jugular and go for the KO with the Kyogre, and I believe 5 energy. But would it need 5 energy? So it's 50 times each energy card discarded, right?
Yeah, but you do that to 2, so you'd only need 4, right? Because you could do 200 on the Luminion
exactly.
and then
so
on the Archeops. So it needs 4 out of 5, which you have to try and do that old school approach where you try and make the whole deck energy, right?
Or
so you can.
He takes out the Stoutland V, and that puts him down to 1 prize. Heady can only attack single prizes, so there's arguments for both directions. So let's see how his hand plays out, because I think that may dictate which direction he could potentially go in.
And that's the strength of Lost Box. You can have these open-ended gameplay routes where you can, you know, decide what, you know, I'm not feeling my odds for this gameplay. I'm just going to try and do this way instead, and then, you know, come back to this later. And that's the sort of inherent strength of Lost Boxes. Oh, there's the Recycler.
Yeah, and it looks like about 4 cards left in deck as well. So he is super fit, and he does discard Lost Zone the Recycler as well. Unless already has 1 in hand. So there are 2 copies in his deck list. So,
really interesting. It's hard to know what.
With
what
all those cards in his
thinking,
hands. He's looking at those 4 cards again. So again, you know, he's just trying to maximize those chances, right? So it looks like he's scoop up netted the Greninja, putting it down, maybe wanting to draw another 2 cards with an energy in hand. So again, he's just trying to get rid of all of those useless cards or less useful cards to maybe utilize that Kyogre, Aqua Storm attack.
I know Alberto very well. He's definitely eyeing it up. Are we going to see the Aqua Storm for game? I have a feeling he's going to try and set it up. So he's trying to get, what's he got in hand? Mirage Gate, Ordinary Rod, Kyogre, it's all there in hand, I believe. Oh my goodness, Alec, you guys can't see me right now, but I am very close to this screen and I am very excited. Oh my goodness. So just to make sure we're all aware, Alberto wants to try and fill their deck with as many cards that are energy as possible. So you can Aqua Storm, try and hit 4 energies off the Aqua Storm out of 5 hits, and then you can close the game out. And oh my goodness, Alex, I think he's going for it.
Yeah, it's just an Ordinary Rod to get the energies back into the deck as well. He still needs to power it up. That's why he has those Mirage Gates in the hand.
Actually, yeah.
So he needs to make sure he counts his energy again to the correct amount. There's the 2 energies, has 2 other non-energy cards. So if he does recycle and end up taking both of those, it wouldn't deal enough.
Yeah, no, it's not quite the perfect odds here. You want to try and get rid of those. Can he draw any more? I don't think he can, actually.
No, he's already used Greninja again. He's scoop up netted Greninja. I think he's sort of realized that he could do it, but then it's a risk.
It's a risk. No, you have to hit 4 or 5 for this play right now. And he's got Energy Recycler, Air Balloon, energy in hand.
The energy for attachment for turn to also power up his Kyogre. So yeah, I think if it was just the 1 in there, then he would be quite comfortable with his game plan. But right now, he's also potentially thinking, maybe I just need to consider taking out this Stoutland. There's the energy attachment to the Kyogre, so maybe he's just going for it.
I think he's going. Well, thing is, how else does he KO this Stoutland, right?
I think
you have to win exactly this turn. So I think here comes the Energy Recycler, shuffling in, what, 5 energy?
4 energy.
Oh, no. He hasn't got... So he has to hit...
He's got 1 on the Sableye. He does play a count of, I believe, 10 energies in total. He's got 2 in the Lost Zone, so there's only 8 available. 3 on the Kyogre, 1 on the Sableye, leaves 4 remaining.
So I don't think... So he has to hit all 4.
He has to hit all 4.
Off the 5 to win this game 1 scenario. Wow, okay. So has to hit 4 or 5 energies in what, a 6-card deck?
Yeah, 6-card deck.
6-card deck, okay. Oh,
I mean, as you said, if he has to go for it, this is the only way he can potentially take this game. This is his game plan, as you mentioned, to eventually use his Kyogre for the sort of final prizes.
Okay.
He's just watching and just seeing what happens.
Here we go.
He's just using the attack. He's announced it.
1, 2, 3. Oh!
4.
That's it, that's game, right?
There you go, that's game. He does take 2 prizes. And
Wow.
Alberto, it does, with all smiles there, does hit all 4 that he needs. I mean, the odds were in his favor.
Oh my goodness.
Congratulations,
Conti.
Alberto, for taking game 1 of this final round feature match. Hedy spent a lot of time just kind of watching Alberto getting ready.
I feel like a dad watching his son. You guys couldn't see me, but I'm here watching like this. I just checked my heart rate, 106, as he was revealing those cards. What a dramatic way to end that game. But don't get ahead of myself here. Still game 1.
Yeah, still game 1.
Still 2 games to go. You know, both players are in this game 2 scenario, but wow, what a way to end the game.
Yeah, so many like unique turns. You know, he had that amazing turn 1 where he got 7 into the loss zone, got that first 2 prize knockout onto that Luminium V with a Raikou V.
Yeah.
Himself, of course, got return KO. Then that Stoutland V came in, pushed Hedy into a favorable position. And then it swung back again. But he had to go for it. As you mentioned correctly, it was his only play that he could go for to take a massive knockout and, you know, take all his final 3 prizes.
Honestly, like you said, he had to. He was forced into going for that because he had no FK in the Stoutland in the active, so had to go for it there, had to get the 4 out of 5, and he only went and done it. Oh my goodness, Alex, I need to get my heart rate back down, compose myself here for this game 2 scenario, but let's see what in the prize cards there for Hedy.
This is both players now setting up for game 2 of our round 9 feature match. As players there have just laid down their prizes. Both players spud in respect for one another. Hedy starting that Lugia V in the active spot. Alberto with that Cramorant. So Hedy will be looking to try and really do the same thing again. Have a great turn 1 setup. Maybe not have to utilize too many of those Luminium Vs going forward this time. Maybe might need to prioritize getting out a Manaphy if he plays it. Yes,
and
he does. And the
as well, yeah,
because has to respect the weakness and the bench hits.
Well, that's the thing. Alberto did take game 1, but had he known the strategy, could have prioritized getting down Dunsparce, could have got down Manaphy. Probably wasn't to know. I mean, it wasn't to know that Alberto is playing a combination of Raikou and Kyogre. Normally, you see Kyogre as its own variant of Lost Box. That doesn't really dabble with Dragonites and or Raikou. So Hedy does have the counterplay, but the thing is, Dunsparce isn't a card that you want to quick ball for turn 1, right? Manaphy is not a card you want to quick ball for turn 1. You want to be trying to, you know, set up your other attackers and things like this. So, but when you haven't got the choice, I think you just have to. Yeah,
in this scenario, potentially he has to try and focus his attention onto that Dunsparce turn 1 if he has that Lugia in the active spot as well. He's already seen Alberto turn around and one-hit KO a lightning weak Pokemon turn 1 in game 1. So not ideal. He's gone for the Luminium V and Amani into hand. Again, looking to try and disrupt Alberto's setup at some stage. We'll look to just, he's got to capture energy onto the Luminium, so he's got more outs as well. But he's just got to decide which Pokemon he gets at this point.
Sure, this has to be Dunsparce, right? It's got to be, because you know the Raikou can easily come down turn 1. So you have to respect that. You know, taking 2 prizes turn 1 as Lost Box is insane. You can't let that happen again. And
one of the only things, sorry to interject a little bit, because there's so many escape ropes in Alberto's list, Hedy, I don't think, really wants any of his bench Pokemon attacked on turn 1.
Yeah.
You know, that Luminium V can still go down to a Raikou if he hits an escape rope into it. Or he doesn't want to lose his Dunsparce too early either. So it's a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah, it is.
And a really unique scenario where whether Alberto will be able to capitalize or not will be the real question. As we see a Chorus experiment, and we think we see the Raikou V there. Number of good cards once again available to him.
I think that's a bit of the Chorus syndrome there. We got 5 good cards realistically. So you always want to keep the Raikou. Energy Recycler does play 2 off, so might opt to maybe get rid of that. But we saw how effective Energy Recycler is in those late game scenarios. But it looks like Energy Recycler plus Water Energy hit the lost zone. But you are so correct. I was thinking that just as you were about to say that escape rope is so live right now. Like, what would you want to give up here if you was Hedy, right? The Dunsparce, very important. Luminion, equally as important as it gives up 2 prizes. So escape rope is very live here for Alberto. And let's see how he continues to start his turn.
Yeah, I think you'd want to, from Hedy's side, if he does get escape rope, still potentially put the Luminium V in the active spot. I think from Hedy's point of view, when you're looking at this matchup, you still don't really expect 7 in the last zone. Turn 1, I mean, everyone knows it can happen, but it just doesn't typically, unless you're really built for it. And Alberto's list maybe is a little bit more. So you might just go for the Luminion and then keep the Dunsparce benched so that your Lugia can last a little bit longer. So maybe that's the thinking. And Alberto, we've already seen a couple of more difficult decisions with that Chorus Experiment. Although did take a number of good cards. So, yeah, as you mentioned, let's see. There's a flower selecting here from the first Comfy on Alberto's side of the board. Another energy going into the Lost Zone. He already hit 2 before. And there's a Hisuian Heavy Ball. Giving himself a couple of more options in terms of what he could actually get there. I think there was a Luminium V there, wasn't there?
There was a Luminium V. But I think, like you said, I think Alberto's list, the route for him to get to 7 in the Lost Zone turn 1 is just a Chorus, 3 Comphase, and then Lost Vacuum, a Tool or Stadium. So the route is definitely there, and the deck is built to do that, you know, with 4 switch carts, 4 nets, and 4 ropes. So just trying to musical chairs those Comphase as efficient as possible. But, you know, with that Dunsparce down, it does make getting at least on the Lugia KO, you know, quite hard. And so maybe the Luminion. But, yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how Alberto continues. Looks like the body language is suggesting me might not be as
explosive.
Explosive is the correct word, as game 1. Here we see Luminion. It's interesting because we've already seen Chorus be used. So this might just be benching it just so you can attach the Forest Seal Stone and then maybe vacuum it away.
Yeah, a number of options again, because that vacuum was in that first Chorus's Experiment as well. Of course, doesn't ever want to really put down a second, a V Pokemon that's not really going to attack. It can because of Mirage Gate. And the Water Energy is in Alberto's list, but does mean it's a bit, you know, a bit prone to potentially getting attacked right now and giving up 2 prizes, which is not what Alberto would want to see. He'd only want to give up 2 prizes on his own accord when he's already used something to take 2 prizes, for example.
Just realised, I guess there's one more avenue Alberto could use to get the KO, even though there's a Dunsparce. Does play the Dragonite V.
Okay,
Swings for 250, so if Alberto can navigate the Dragonite V into the active without having to play a Skate Rope, could actually see a turn 1 KO on this Lugia, which would be absolutely devastating for Hedy. So that might be the route that Alberto is going to try and take.
I think arguably that would be more devastating than what we've just seen to win game 1, in all honesty, because that was mad already. There's the attachment for retreat, so another unique way for Comphase to just keep dancing around. He's already put 2 energies into that Lost Zone. I think one of those 2 cards was a Psychic Energy.
Yeah, it was.
The other one would be interesting to see exactly what that could be as well. Again, a number of cards in his hand already. There's another energy, so it's down to 7.
I think he's full sending for that Dragonite, I think. Because you're right, so many energies gone. Like you said, you will, if anything's in the discard pile, you can recycle them later on. Oh, but there's the rope.
There's the first rope,
Don't think you want to play that. You'd rather try and KO the loot. Oh, we're going to see a Spit innocently, actually. Or?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a slower turn from Alberto. There's there's the loss. There's a Lost Vacuum, so getting up to the 6, and there's the Manaphy as well. Yeah, just a Spit innocently. Okay. With Lost Provisions, allowing that Cramorant to attack with no energy. Not ideal from Alberto, because he knows Hedy will just be able to bounce that back with Aqua Return, and there's the Marnie that Hedy had prepared previously with that Luminion as well.
Yeah, no, that Marnie could be devastating now. Alberto's shaking his head, I think, really wanted to get to that Dragonite, but just the way the cards fell, just couldn't really get there. As back over to Hedy, and let's see if he can secure this game 2 here. With this turn 2, does have the Lugia down. I think, is there any? 1 Archeops in the discard pile? Oh, that shake of the head, though, I'm not sure. We see an Evolution Incense.
It's always a good start.
Does he have a way to discard it, though? It seems like they're chatting about something, having a jolly old time. Love to see it. But does Hedy have a way to discard? And the thing is, you can't even really go for 1 here, because you know that Alberto could try and pop that Cryoga and just try and, you know, get rid of that only Archeops. So hopefully Hedy has a way to discard it.
Yeah, this is not looking completely ideal for Hedy right now. That Marnie, you know, being able to get that other Archeops into the hand, but not right now. There's a Guru. It's a 1 card.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be Guru.
Yeah, both players agree. It's this 1 card.
Here
this could
go.
change
What
everything.
He took it quick. He's a little smirk.
Oh, amazing. amazing.
My goodness.
There's the Aurora discarding the Archeops, and now gets to use Summoning Star. He needs to turn over that V-Star marker. Thank you very much. And now he has access to those Primal Turbos and will be able to take the first knockout of Game 2. Remember, both players playing for their Day 2, well, they're into Day 2 record, because right now both players are 5-2 and 1. They need the extra 3 points to secure them that spot. So Hedy currently already playing for, to tie up the series, and then hoping to maybe take a quick Game 3 if he's able to win this one. But advantage right now, Hedy, just based on this current position. He's got set up as he would have wanted. Be interesting to see what he brings up. It looks like he's prepping that Guru to retreat later, if it's, if he promotes that Oranguru as well, because then he is only giving up 1 prize. There you go. And Alberto just, looking at his hand. He doesn't look too happy. No. But again, we've seen a lot of poker faces this weekend.
We have. Yeah, and that Oranguru potentially saving Hedy's Utrecht special there with that clutch Primate Wisdom, getting the Aurora energy, things you love to see. Back over to Alberto. Let's see what he can manufacture. I mean, what's the best turn for Alberto here?
Utilizing an escape rope again. I think again some of those attackers on the bench would rather he'd rather put damage on those rather than this Oranguru, because it has a free retreat with the DT already attached right now. But here's a chorus experiment. I think he'd want to try and escape rope into one of those. Likely Hedy will probably go into the Lugia just because it's a big bulkier Pokemon, harder to take out. But let's see how Alberto navigates this, and first easy choice there.
Having to play off on Marnie as well, don't forget. So having to have had the hand reset and having to try and draw back up to grow those options. I think Skate Row would be a nice option. I guess in a full Dreamer world, you could try and Kroger both the Archeops, but that's a mighty tall order.
When you Marnie someone into 4, they draw 1-5, they chorus experiment, go down to -4, then up to 7, and then concealed cards up to 9. This is crazy. And then flower selecting up to 10. He's into double digits already, and that's just like 3 actions on his side of the board. And then he's just rebuilt everything he wanted. Of course, some of the good cards might be at the bottom from that Marnie. Doesn't want to give up another energy, it looks like.
Well, a lot are in the loss zone already, so...
Another switch cart there.
We haven't seen many of them. They've been getting sent to the loss zone.
It seems like it's been an easy choice, but it's good to have them. But he's had to scoop up net. Here's another flower selecting. Oh, go Alberto. What are you considering right now? That's what we want to know.
It seems to be, in my opinion, whatever's the hardest gameplay route, he's just trying to get to the hardest thing. I wonder, he can't be setting the Kyogre, surely not, right? Not this early, or not turn 2.
I mean, if he hits 3 energies, he can target both Archeops, and then Hedy's just so behind at that point, because he's then just manually attaching to his Pokemon, and it's really not ideal. Another flower selecting, Dragonite's
going in.
So that card, it was an instant pick as well, so has to have been a good card.
I think it's going off Alberto's body language. It doesn't strike me as at least the main avenue he wants to do might not be available. Look at that hand, though. You have to imagine what could Alberto want to do that hand cannot support. And I'm not 100% sure right now, because that hand could be like 15 cards deep right now.
Yeah, there's so many options available to him. We've spoken about Lost Zone or Lost Box decks throughout this weekend so far. There's been so many different slight variations, but the core engine of just being able to get so many Lost Zone cards is just to pass over. Yeah, a bench of another Comfey and just a pass into Hedy. And Hedy again, another opportunity to take another prize. My only worry now is, yes, we know how great Luminion is to be able to take a supporter and then also actually, reserve some energies back into the deck. If you don't reserve the energies and they're on like a big bulky Pokemon already, if there's Archeops, both Archeops do suddenly go down, he still has an attacker to get going. But when he keeps, hit and running back into the deck, and with those energies, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. But it looks like he's just targeting up that Luminium V there with that Serena. Now just a Oranguru ability to swap the top card of his deck. And then now Primal Turbo to kind of mix it back up around and see what he's going to do. I mean, seems likely he's going to attack with the Lugia V-Star here and take, again, a massive knockout to put him down to 3 prizes.
I think Oh yeah, probably have to be the going to be
only
with the
attacker,
Lugia,
right?
yeah. And they said that Tempest dive, you know, good damage. And have we even seen the Lugia attack so far? I'm not 100% sure if we have, right? But yeah, you're going down to 3 prizes, and I think if you're Alberti, would you ever start considering it might be time to scoop them up? I mean, you're at 6 prizes, Heady's at 3. There's a Lugia, and like you said, now this Lugia doesn't have to discard any energy, right? It is going to stay here in Tempest Dive. You can't even try and remove both the Archeops now. That sort of turn might have, you know, been and gone. So I've been intrigued to see what Alberto's win, especially that Dragonite being gone as well. That's the only sort of
big hitter,
heavy hitter left. Yeah. So
well, away from the Kyogre, I suppose. But
yes.
Kyogre needs so many additional setup cards because it only does it to the bench, right?
Yeah, only does it to the bench.
And you know, it deals heavy damage, but that active Lugia, you know, with again, I believe with that V-Guard energy also attached to it, trying to protect it away from certain Pokemon as well. Sableye now hitting the Lost Zone up to 13. A really small deck now. We're beginning to see. You know, Alberto still needs to try and find a way to take 6 prizes here.
Yeah, what is the avenue? What is the avenue to get this win? 6 prizes left, and that deck is small. I think 3 cards. 3 cards left in the deck as it was at this moment in time. We do see Dragonite gone. Raikou is still there. We do see Ordinary Rod getting back in 2 energy cards. And maybe a Pokemon's at Sableye. Obviously, Alberto is at Lost Mine range. We can see Lost Mine,
very
12 damage counters,
very far into Lost Mine range. Yeah, those 12 damage counters, you know, helped set him up on the previous turns as well, just to kind of knock out that Dunsparce, to give him options to maybe knock out a Lugia at a later stage at the same, as we said before. We do see the Greninja get attached with a Mirage Gate, it looks like. So we could see some Moonlight Shuriken action happening.
Yeah, really strong attack, you know, 90 in 2 places, you know, very reminiscent of G-Max Rapid Flow. If you remember the Rapid Strike Urshifu, 90 in 2 places on a basic Pokemon, never a bad thing. Could be KOing Dunsparce, could be setting up Lugia, could be, let's see, so we probably see 90 on one Archeops.
90 on both
Archeops.
Okay.
So setting them up for a Sableye, right?
Yeah.
So Sableye cleans them both off. Alberto then takes 2 prize cards.
Still 4 to go, and then maybe has to find a way to knock out the Lugia and the Luminion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting direction and step to take. What's really key here is how Heady can maybe utilize some of those primal turbos to full effect now, then get the best value out of them. Because obviously right now his board is full, right? He's unable to sort of get Manaphy into position. He's unable to really build up another attacker. Another attacker right now would be Luminion, which right now is just in an awkward spot because, again, as I mentioned, it wants to hit and run.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's not really doing its job because then you're not able to then utilize the space on the board to be able to power up a second attack. Although, I'm sorry for speaking a bit longer here, does have access to Collapse Stadium, right? Can start to remove some cards like maybe the Guru, and then does he have a Lost Vacuum as well? That could be another way.
Yeah, could be.
But he does choose the Primal Turbo right now, so let's see what he goes for in this direction.
Are we seeing like so we're going to see an Aqua return, or is he's getting some powerful colorless energies to the front of the deck?
Yeah, it looks like he's put some powerful energies to the front of the deck. Which of his colorless Pokemon he might want to use to really attack?
Well,
Oranguru?
Oranguru.
Will we see an Oranguru start swinging?
Whapping down the Radiant Greninja, saying, I'm the best setup Pokemon here. I kept Heady in the game with Farmate Wisdom earlier.
Looks like there was no attachment.
No, it's fail search. Okay, don't mind it. Heady does not look happy, though. I wonder what is his second Primal Turbo, then, I'm guessing? I wonder what's going through his head right now. What do you reckon Heady's debating?
I think it's just that aspect what I just kind of mentioned, in all honesty. He knows he's potentially losing both of these Archeops in due course, and that's why he needs another attacker. With powerful energies, I suppose the Guru can actually deal a decent amount of damage because it starts to rack up really quickly. It's at 70 base.
70 base, yeah.
So right now with 2 powerful energies here, it's hitting 110. maybe
it's getting there, isn't it?
maybe
one more powerful and
attachment from hand of a powerful energy. You know, it might be possible that this is the route. That Luminian V could still attack if Heady just hits an Aurora into hand as well. So a few different options. Alberto could be quite happy in this scenario just because he can now Lost Mine those two Archeops and really cause chaos on the Heady side of the board. As we do see a flower selecting. There's not many cards remaining in Alberto's deck,
not, is there?
But we know he has recovery.
Just trying to think. So Sableye can take out both Archeops, right? And then I'm trying to think, you're just trying to set up a Raikou on the Lugia for game, but that would still require 4 prizes being taken. Here we see the energy recycle, right? So this might help allude to us what Alberto's trying to set up here. There is still no Manaphy knocking about, so we could still see Kyogre, I should say. I mean, that deck is going to be a lot of energy at this moment in time. So, but then what does Kyogre? I mean, you could, I don't know, could you like escape rope to try and put two prizes back on the bench and then try and carry them both at the same time? But then that would require what, 5, 10, 15, 25. No,
still max is at 250,
yeah, max at 250. So you can't be setting that one up either. So what is Alberto cooking up? What's his answer?
There's the Sableye that comes down. And the scoop up net to bring up another Comfey, so he just
doesn't want to find energy here.
Yeah,
no,
I mean, I think it's at that stage where he doesn't necessarily, certain energy types he doesn't necessarily need, but does now have an active with a air balloon on it, so can pivot into the Sableye should he choose to do so. Looks like he's just getting a Mirage Gate attachment onto the Sableye as well. Hasn't obviously been able to just draw into it with the flower selecting. And now we'll be looking to target down those Archeops with Lost Mine. You know, that 12 damage counters, perfect numbers here. With Archeops having 150 HP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 150.
So just 6 on each Archeops does knock out both. And now Heady doesn't have any energy acceleration.
But he's only at 2 prizes. Tempest Dive, you know, just puts him down to 1 time. Alberto has to take 4 prizes next turn, so I'm struggling to see how that happens, right?
Heady's in a really strong spot, even without those. So that he had 1 additional turn of using Primal Turbo, and that felt like it was more than enough. Yeah. And right now, in his hand, he has an Aurora as well, and the Charizard, so he could just prep attackers at this stage. So he's likely to attach that Aurora to one of those Pokemon. It could be the Lumineon, it could be the Charizard. You know, without discard that other Archeops he just took out with the Evo Incense, for example. Or quick balls it away, you know, multitude of different options here. But he just needs to announce 2 attacks. He does protect himself as well. That we saw he didn't have in game 1 or really much in game 2 so far until now. It's been a bit of a crux of the Kyogre decks, you know. If you can sometimes time...
and it collapsed as well. Wow, all the counters coming out. Basically, he's closing the door on any route to victory here, I feel. Could even take the KO with the Charizard, leave a... Oh, no, it goes down to 1.
Yeah, I think that's fine, because now he's got the Charizard ready to go if something else does get KO'd. And like I said, the Oranguru is still a bit a threatening attacker as well. Just needs an energy attachment. And he's just 1 prize. You know, Alberto... Right now, with time ticking, just under 6 minutes to go. Lost Box just typically does take long in terms of his games. A draw won't give both players enough points to make it into day 2, but could be thinking that, you know, these are still points towards their world's invite into Yokohama, Japan.
Fire Select's in the whole deck at this point, so whatever Alberto's cooking, he's got to...
He's got an ordinary run.
Yeah, he's got to do it fast. I mean, he doesn't actually pay any boss's orders, so I can't see like stranding shenanigans and then try and, you know, just Lost Mine around to close this game out. So,
yeah, Heady playing this pretty damn well, I think, to kind of limit Alberto's options there. Alberto not able to really burst like he did in game 1. I think he's just had to pass over, and Heady's just announced an attack. I think he was just kind of sort of writing on the wall and just kind of knew exactly that Heady was going to take this game 2. A bit of a more anticlimactic compared to game 1. Heady's deck doing exactly what it should be and just kind of powering through, and Alberto just not able to sort of respond with some of his counter plays that you typically see with sort of the Lost Zone engines. And we do see the time ticking down. Both players will be setting up right now. A lot will be on their minds. Yeah, Heady just a little glance into the camera.
Yeah, we see you as well, mate. Don't worry.
He knows we're looking at him. You know, massive respect between both players. Both players having a lot of fun. Hedy did win game 2, of course, does tie up the series at 1-1. Let's see what both players could do in this sort of final few minutes and final game of our round 9 feature match.
Yeah, I mean, like, normally you see Lost Box hasn't really got a chance to win a game in such low amounts of time, but like I said, Alberto Conti's list is built to try and get to, you know, these 7s and 10s lost zone really quick. So if any Lost Box can, it would be this list, but going to be interesting. Both players, like you said, tie helps no one. Like, they both want the W, so they're both going to be trying to, you know, finish this round and try and get a winner here. So going to be very interesting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it does happen to end in a tie, 5-2-2 records could put them in contention for some points.
Yes.
Again, you know, every little helps at this stage. This is our last tournament in this format, as we see both players just setting up for their game 3, and both our players just showing their prizes there. Looks like Alberto's allowed Hedy to go first.
Yeah, because you want to go for the turn 1 KO, right? And
oh, this is a tough little spot here.
That's not what you want to see. So doesn't need to really worry about trying to get Raikou out. Cramorant spit innocently. Sorry, it took me a while to get there, folks. Spit innocently would take a KO here, and that's not what you want to see in a game 3 win or go home scenario here. But yeah, Alberto still has to, you know, manufacture this. You know, has got Manaphy inactive, so we'll need to move that around. You could argue Escape Rope here could be even more live. You're trying to remove that Dunsparce, so then Raikou can just have free reign with weakness for the rest of the game, as it were. And look at the pace of play. This is this is what we love to see.
That's the concealed cards giving Alberto access to the Luminium V to get into the Chorus Experiment. Goes for the quick actions to get those energy recyclers into the lost zone. There's a Flower Selector, Kyogre straight in.
Very efficient, because the energy recyclers are for the Kyogre. Get that in the discard. Here we see the Forest Seal Stone for a Battle VIP pass. Is there 4 now? There's only 3 in the lost zone, but Alberto Conti is playing at speed. I'd love to see it. Let's see if we can keep up here. Does get the deck back. I imagine must have a switch card. Is it going to be an E-Rope? E-Rope here would be crazy, and it was an E-Rope.
Yeah,
gets the Flower Selector. Needs to find another switch card. Oh, okay,
yeah,
got the switch card.
Means he has another one in hand already.
One in hand. Oh my goodness gracious me! I'll tell you, if any Lost Box deck could get this W and speed, it would be this one. Alberto Conti spits innocently for the KO there. Hedy only has 1 bench Pokemon. What else in the hand?
Capture energy
and a research. Okay,
so he's got cards in hand. It's just unplayable at the moment, so he had to bench down the Dunsparce, which meant he knew he was working into a potential Escape Rope play, as we see the Capture Energy attached there onto the Yveltal from Hedy. Doesn't put him in a great position, of course. Still needs to play this out and make sure he doesn't make any silly mistakes, of course. But Alberto, if there was more time on this clock right now, there's so many opportunities here for Alberto to just be able to take this down. But let's just see how this plays out. For the moment, there's a research.
Miss Pokemon here. I mean, let's have a look. I mean, chances are I got Quick Balls, Ultra Ball out. To be fair, Hedy had actually priced 3 ball cards there, though. What do we?
I've seen a number of cards
there. Loads of Pokemon. Just get them. Well, at least the Charizard, right? That has to. And a Quick Ball as well.
Yeah, he's got a Quick Ball and an Arceus. Another Arceus goes into the discard now. So, you know, probably just, again, if he's going through all the motions to perfect exactly his game plan right now, he's probably going to get another Lugia out or another. Well, he's gone for the Guru instead. I guess that kind of protects him from the Escape Rope, because Alberto, as you mentioned, doesn't play boss, right?
But no
does he play Serena or anything like that?
No gusting cards.
Just the Escape Rope. So it just means he's now safe away from his Lugia, which is kind of an interesting thing if Hedy's been able to pick that up just from these 2 games.
I mean, we've pretty much seen all of Alberto's list, right? I mean, he drew the whole deck last game. So I think, yeah, you can say, right, there's no boss's orders, you know, really relying on Escape Ropes and or Kyogre to manipulate your opponent's active. And, yep, looking just to leave the Yveltal in the active. And, yep, there's spit innocently.
10 seconds on the clock.
Could have been the fastest turn of all time, that one, to be fair.
Draw a card, announce attack, and straight back into Hedy. And there's the Evo Incense now. He's just double checking how many cards are in Alberto's hand. Does have the Guru in the active spot, so be able to tank a hit if it needed to. But right now, that Evo Incense probably just choosing that Lugia V-Star as time looks to be set right now, and be told that this is currently turn 0 for the game.
Yeah, turn 0, so 3 turns left after this. They see the Lugia V-Star. We'll be able to get the Summoning Star and get those 2 Archeops into play. Which is always very good, you know?
Yeah, exactly what you want as a Lugia deck, right? This is a bit slower. Obviously, he's lost 2 prizes already to the Lost Box, but this is still the kind of setup you want. Unfortunately, has lost that Dunsparce, which is usually massive, particularly in this kind of matchup. Because now that Lugia V is not protected whatsoever.
And the Summoning Star,
wow.
back the Dunsparce. Not something you see every day, but you can Summoning Star
I mean,
colourless Pokemon that has no rule box, so
there's a reason.
works.
There's
yeah,
a reason to do that.
No, it works perfectly well, right?
Because Alberto could still technically KO the Lugia with a Raikou V if it had no weakness.
Of course, yeah.
And then Kyogre could still come in for a last hit. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Sorry, it is in the Lost Zones. But the idea was right. I mean, it could have found a way to take 4 prizes. But Hedy just completely shutting that door and just saying, I'm Summoning Star for my little 60 HP boy to protect myself once again. And that's kind of his way of saying, well, I'm not losing this game now.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not losing this game, and you're not winning it either.
Yeah.
But like I said, it makes perfect sense, though, right? Like you said, you know, turning off the Lugia weakness, you know, really just denying any form of Alberto Conti victory there. Like you said, the Raikou could easily KO that, and we see Amani as well. Really closing the door.
We're going to see the Guru potentially attack.
Go on, let's see a whap down. Come on.
Which is amazing. We never usually see it attack, but it does have... Oh, he's just retreated. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Why not?
So this is turn 1? Turn 1.
This would be turn 1, yeah. So Hedy's just helping the crowd see exactly what it is. And just showing...
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
What a pro.
Everyone knows. And Alberto, you know, it was a little bit quicker a moment ago, but now, unfortunately, it seems very unlikely there's going to be any way for Alberto to take 4 prizes in his 2 final turns. But plays out the Chorus's experiment, the Battle VIP pass, easy choice once again, and the Sableye that hits his Lost Zone. Switch cards into another Comfey, more flower selecting shenanigans, and another quick ball in, water energy to hand, now just getting those counts up to 7 now. Activates the Mirage
Gates. Let's see, we're going to see like a Moonlight Shuriken then. I imagine that's something that... Can it take 2 prizes? I mean, you can knock out Dunsparce at the very least, but I don't think there's any...
No, not really, unfortunately.
Oh, you can hit the Charizard for weakness. Yeah, so that's 2 prizes. That turns back on. That turns back on the weakness, but then the lack of boss means Alberto can't force that Lugia in the active though, right?
Exactly.
So tantalizingly close, I think, but just not quite. But we'll just see what happens, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's not up to us. Hedy may suddenly promote that Lugia V-Star. You'd like to think he won't. But at least, again, Alberto playing to his outs, showing that he's actually dominating this game free.
Yeah, this is...
you know, it has the Raikou V there as well. And there's the Moonlight Shuriken 40 active for weakness and the Dunsparce. So taking 2 prizes.
Whoa, my goodness.
Hedy's probably thinking, does he have boss? Did I miss something?
Yeah,
maybe.
For sure.
Is there a random boss I forgot about?
Thinking, did I see it? Did I see a boss? I've seen the whole deck. Have I seen a boss? But
yeah, I mean, it's again, like I said, Alberto just playing to his outs right now, and Hedy promoting that Arceus into the active spot on his final turn of the tournament right now for day 1. Does use Primal Turbo, so just looking for his options that are available to him once again. Picks up an Aurora there. And just kind of seeing, straight to the active. Is that double Aurora? I mean, it's colorless attack, so it doesn't really matter. But then there's a powerful as well, so dealing 140 now with that. Ooh, putting the Aluminium V down. Does he need to?
Boss stall, trying to mine it. Maybe he's thinking, Alberto, the way Alberto's playing, he must have a boss stall, maybe I can mine it to the bottom. I mean, that would make sense. Like the way Alberto is playing, you would assume that he just play the the boss, and there's the mine it. Yeah. Just I don't mind it. I think if you're ahead, you are thinking the way he's playing.
Just in case, one final time. Let's ruin his setup, and there you go. Alberto just shuffling his cards and putting it to the bottom. Couple of decent options, but obviously just no boss there.
No boss, obviously.
That we can't see.
Or Serena.
None
of that.
Random Pokemon catcher. Nope. None of these
no,
cards.
No, I don't think so. And then we sort of see maybe the downside of Alberto turboing out the Cryoga and all that business is that might have been a wink on here, but unfortunately had to gun those straight out the deck.
Yeah, and he went full gung-ho to try and just burst into those attackers as soon as possible, or just get an attack off, because Hedy kind of gestured once again that, his hand was awful and he had to play down that dunce pass, so he didn't get benched out. Imagine if he didn't hit that Pokemon. That could have been all over. And then
just get the air balloon, no?
Yeah, I guess the free retreat pivot available to him now as well. Alberto again is
There's the rate rope
There's
almost,
the Guru
but
coming
the Guru
up.
coming back to save the tournament for Hedy there.
Hedy with that Oran Guru putting in work just to kind of, go on. If you want to take something down, you can have this single prizer. Don't worry about it. And there's a right. Oh, the Raiku's just coming up now for that one more time. Lightning Rondo, that extra super damage from all the bench Pokemon that's available, will be taking a prize. And just short by one, it looks like. Oh, both players just double checking exactly where things have gone. Yeah, there's the Lightning Rondo. And that's the final turn of our round 9 feature match. A bit unfortunate that we've had to see a tie between our two players, but congratulations to both of those. You know, they both played supremely well. Both ended up with a 5-2-2 record at this stage now. Yep. So it's amazing to just see both players really playing it out. Congratulations to them. 5-2-2. Let's hope both our friends have been able to make points as well for their invites and beyond. But it's incredible to see both players in action.
And what an entertaining best of 3 that was. You know, game 1, the absolute barnstormer, and game 2, Hedy, you know, playing it well, to be fair. Let's give all full credit there. You know, played it really well, navigated his way to victory in a very tough matchup. And game 3, you know, had a bit more time, Alberto could have finished it off, but unfortunately these are the rules. These players it has resulted in a tie for everyone at home that has been confirmed. So yeah, both players at 5-2-2. Let's hope they get some points for their valiant efforts here today.
Yeah, that game 1 was hype, right? It swung back and forth. We saw the Kyogre sweeping in at the end. So amazing to actually take 2 big KOs. And again, Hedy just kind of being able to showcase just how strong Lugia is. We've seen it multiple times already. We've seen Lost Box multiple times already. This whole tournament so far, we've seen some innovation as well, which has been fantastic. It's been a great day of different decks really coming to the fore, and different players performing amazingly over the tournament. And we'll be looking forward to seeing them all back again tomorrow, won't we?
Yeah, well, we saw, you know, the Lugia Morpeko wheezing.
Wow, yeah.
That
Christian
made it in, so maybe we'll see that again knocking around tomorrow. So there's Turbo, Lost Box, even though it did get the tie. I love seeing that turn 1 aggression. And then, that Cryoga for game 1. Things you love to see. So, yeah, I'm actually excited for this day, too, where we're going to hopefully see a whole lot more spicy decks with some top-tier players piloting them.
Yeah, players like Carl Peters with that water box deck. You had the wonderful chance to actually talk to him about it. Again, love the innovation and the kind of different plays when me and Joe was able to cast over it. Just seeing him, almost bait certain attacks onto like the Snom, or potentially use some poker face to say my hand's pretty bad. I'm just going to keep calling here. Don't worry about it. My hand's bad. Don't judge me, please. But we've seen other little kind of cute little techs as well. We've seen things in the Lugia with I think, what did we see earlier with cancelling Cologne and different
cards? Oh, true, cancelling Cologne, We saw Collapse Stage in here as well.
And the Charon's Care in Lugia.
Charon's Care, exactly. Caught me on guard that war, we did.
Forgot about that one, We've seen some really fun innovation. And as I said, so much innovation, and it's at the end of the format, right?
Yeah.
Or this meta, let's say, not format.
Even at the mature format, where I know a lot of players might be thinking we've been in this format for a while, we're still seeing some adaptations to decks and new cards come to the forefront. Hopefully we see loads of them tomorrow. But I think that wraps up our day 1 coverage here. We will be back at 9 AM tomorrow, so hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.